We are going live. Lunchtime live, immigration question and answers. Come on in and tell me what questions you have. I'm here to answer. Today we are going to be talking about an update, the latest update for parole in place, the Biden administration's Family Unity Program that started in August and ran for a total of 5 days before a lawsuit stopped it. We have been waiting for a final decision on that. I call it a PIP program, parole in place. And we unfortunately got bad news yesterday. We know that on the day of the election, there was a hearing to present arguments and evidence, and the judge was going to issue a decision before today, November 8th. And unfortunately, that decision is not what we wanted. It's not what we hoped for. That program is now dead. As of yesterday, it was on pause since August, and now USCIS will not be able to receive any more applications or process any applications, and definitely not approve any applications. This was a program that was meant to help people who have been waiting for a waiver approval in order to process through a U.S. citizen spouse. Again, as I've been talking for the last couple of weeks about how difficult it is to qualify for immigration status, and this is a prime example. We have a program that was created by Biden to help people that are trying to do it the right way, trying to get status. And see, it says that you had an interview scheduled for today at 12. We are at Pacific time, so check your appointment. It might have been scheduled for Pacific time. You might be in a different time zone, but call us back, please, if that's not the case, and we'll make sure that we get that squared away for you. The number is 541-653-8899. Thank you, C, for that comment. So going back to the parole in place, this is going to be a big problem going forward. This is just the first of bad news that we can expect. Trump hasn't even taken office, but already we see the effect, right? So the judge was kind of pushing this out. The federal judge that was reviewing the PIP program, he was pushing out a decision until after the elections. The elections were this week. So now yesterday he made the announcement that he was finding this program illegal. It would not be allowed to go forward. I don't think we don't know yet if the Biden administration is going to appeal that decision. I don't think they will because there's like less than 75 days left in the term. So that would just get stuck in court anyways. There wouldn't be no decision until Trump takes office anyways. So that program is gone. Sorry, guys. This is the first bad news that I'm bringing, and Trump's not even taking office yet. Yassine, thank you for your question. Wife's I-130 is actively reviewed since November 2023. Priority date is September 10th, 2023. What can I do? Wife is in Bangladesh. Yassine, are you a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident? So it's been pending for about a year. And that's about right. I don't know what the processing times are exactly, what their listed times are. You can look on the USCIS website to see what their listed processing times are. Sounds about right. But depending on if you are a citizen or a resident, if you're a resident, they're going to take their time. Actually, I just looked at that. It looked like 54 months if you're processing as a spouse who's a permanent resident. So if you're not a citizen yet, you should do your citizenship, and then that case can get processed much faster. Thank you, everybody who's coming in. Fortunately, I'm bringing bad news. I feel like this is just going to be like a daily occurrence once Trump takes office. But we were waiting for news on the PIP program, the Family Unity Program, and unfortunately, the judge decided yesterday that that program is illegal and will not be able to go forward. If you're a client, we'll be reaching out to tell you about other options and next steps. If you have your case with another attorney, make sure you're reaching out to find out what other options you should be moving forward with. If you don't have an attorney, if you did it on your own, please feel free to reach out. We do a free discovery call process, 541-653-8899. Thank you, everybody who's coming in on TikTok with your questions. If anyone on Facebook or Instagram has questions, please put those and I'll see those in the chat. KH, my husband came here on a fiance visa. We married and waiting for the green card. Will this impact us? No. It will. The PIP program is for people who enter without a visa, who need a waiver in order to get their green card. This would have helped them avoid the waiver and the long processing time that the waiver has. And so no, you are going to be fine. What might impact UK is that we expect that there will be now interviews required for spousal green cards, which under the Biden administration, we were able to skip those. So it was much faster processing. So expect that you'll get scheduled for an interview and talk with your attorney or contact us if you need help with that interview. Should you apply for advanced parole if your DACA expires next November? Yes. Apply now. Anyone with DACA needs to really be looking at other options because we expect that DACA will become under attack again, like Trump did the first time. That litigation, that lawsuit is actually still ongoing from the first Trump administration. So definitely if you have a reason to travel abroad, please do. You can get that filed. We can help you file that and get that approved as soon as possible so you can travel. And then once you travel, you can come back. And if you're married to a U.S. citizen or if you marry in the future, you will be eligible to adjust your status. Okay, Simply Eddie, when can I file the 765 and the 45? I filed the I-130 a month ago online. Thank you. That depends. We could talk with you and talk about next steps, but if you're a U.S. citizen or you're married to a U.S. citizen and you entered with a visa, you should have filed all those things together and you could probably file them now, but I don't know the details of your case. So you need to call us 541-653-8899. Do you see risks to the 10-year permanent residency, procedural difficulties to citizenship? Anything's possible. Actually, I just saw Stephen Miller posted yesterday that they are going to be ramping up the denaturalization machine, as he called it, under the Trump administration. There's been like historically for, I don't know how many ever years, there's been like maybe 11 cases where people have lost their citizenship because they reopened. USCIS went back and looked at it, like, are they actually eligible or not, and took away their citizenship. That's called denaturalization. So historically, like average of 11 of those per year, but under the Trump administration, it like went crazy, like hundreds of people. So now Stephen Miller just announced yesterday, I'm sure he's probably slated to take over Department of Homeland Security, that they will be ramping that up and questioning people's citizenships. Anything's possible, you guys. So we need to be ready. We need to be prepared. We're encouraging people to take action. If there's anything that you can do to get legal status now or at least begin the process, I encourage you to do that now before the end of the year. Roxy rocked. Anything, will they do anything with VAWA applicants? Whew. I hope not. But as I've been saying, Trump is a bully and he goes after the most vulnerable. So we saw that he went after the dreamers, these kids that were brought here by their parents. He went after them. He did do some damage to U visas and T visas and VAWAs. So what we saw under the Trump administration more than anything with these vulnerable cases was that if they were denied, then they were sent to immigration court, which had never been done before and has not been done under the Biden administration. So that was definitely damaging to many people who applied. So my recommendation is that if you're going to apply for something, make sure that it's a strong case. I've heard of some people kind of pushing the edge, pushing the boundaries on some of these VAWA cases, like, oh, my kids talked back to me and I should qualify for Vawa that way. Maybe there's a case there, but please make sure that you're working with a reputable firm that has a history of doing cases well and has experience, because if it's denied, you'll likely next be seeing a judge for deportation. Chanty. I'm so confused. Did they cancel the parole in place? I called my lawyer and said they didn't, but yes, that's what we're talking about today. Just yesterday, it was announced that we've been waiting for the judge to make the decision whether this case was going to go forward. We knew that they were waiting to see what happened with the election. And sure enough, yesterday, the judge decided that the parole in place program is illegal, which should cause concern for all the other parole in place programs for military children, parents with children in the military or spouses that are in the military, humanitarian parole. All of the parole programs are likely going to come under attack. That was our concern. That was like our hope, was that this parole program would be successful because it was based on all these other parole programs. And so I would say that this is probably a warning for the other parole programs. If you qualify for one of those parole programs, they tried to take military parole in place away during the first Trump administration. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried that again. Anyone who's a client of ours will be reaching out to talk about other options instead of the parole in place program. This was really a program that was meant to kind of bypass the waiver, which has been taking like 4 or 5 years to get approved, to not have to leave the country. But unfortunately, now these people are going to have to do that. So make sure you're checking in with your attorney. If you're a client of ours, we'll be reaching out as soon as possible. So Trump back, what will happen to the immigration process? Michelle Peak, it is going to change every day for, for the next 4 years, basically. This is already the first change that we're seeing. Trump's not even in office yet, but we know that this was politically motivated, why the judge denied the parole in place program. So it's going to be daily changes. That's why I am committing to being here live, live at lunch, however you're supposed to say it, until things calm down, which will probably be after Trump's out of office. If he ever leaves office, we'll see if we even have an immigration system in the future. I don't know. I'm trying my best, you guys, not to spiral, but this is challenging. Okay, I've got a comment over here on okay. Thank you, Tony in San Benito. I used to live in Texas. I had an office in San Benito, Texas. Thank you for reaching out. We'd love to help your sister-in-law. Have her give us a call, 541-653-8899. Thanks, Tony, for your comment. Yeah, so the parole in place program has been on pause. They've been receiving the applications and processing them, but not able to approve them until the final decision by the judge. The judge decided yesterday that program will not be able to go forward. According to him, it's illegal, which means all the other parole in place programs are going to likely have problems as well. DACA is a temporary fix, love. Yes, thank you for saying it. It is meant to be a temporary fix. I talk to people all the time who are married to US citizens who have other options. And they're like, yeah, I'll get around to it someday. I don't want to, if they need an advance parole in order to adjust status, they're like, well, yeah, I'll travel later. Now is the time, guys. It's actually way past time. So if you have an option, please make sure that you are taking action. If you've talked with us and we've told you what you can do and you're just trying to put some money together, please call us back. We are going to be running specials through the end of the year to help people make sure that they get their applications in before Trump takes office. Can you still go to your biometric schedule even if the parole in place is denied? I mean, you can go, but I think that's a waste of time. Denaturalization actually possible? Yes. Can you even imagine? Stephen Miller, like of all things to be talking about right now, like 2 days after the election, Stephen Miller's on wherever it was, X or whatever that thing is called, saying that they are ramping up the denaturalization machine, meaning that even citizens are not safe. Marriage-based green card to a U.S. citizen, will that be affected? I think what will be affected on for the green cards through marriage is that things are going to take longer because they're going to go back to requiring interviews. Things are going to have a much stricter scrutiny. So make sure that all of your things are lined up. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but all of us immigration attorneys were having, PTSD and flashbacks, but there was a period of time where applications were rejected if there was one box that was blank, if it didn't have NA in it or something. So they just messed with us. The whole administration, just messing with immigrants, messing with anybody who served immigrants. So we can expect more of the same. Same with she. Will it be hard to get a green card through marriage? I recommend anybody who has filed on their own that you check in with an attorney. They can look over your application, see what's missing, talk to you about any messy things in your situation so that you can be ready, because they are going to be checking hardcore. Does immigration check your bank account? I've never heard about that, but thank you for asking. Would any part of a prenup affect our ability to petition for immigration status? Depends on what your prenup says. I would definitely talk with an immigration attorney before you file. Have them look at your prenup. I don't do prenups, so I don't know the answer to that. Even if you have a kid with the person, yeah, so a marriage-based application, like you would hope that having a kid together would be proof that your marriage is valid, but that's not the only thing that they're checking in a green card application. So it's not an automatic approval just because you have a kid together, just because you've been married for a couple of years or whatever. So there's other things that they're going to be looking at. How did you enter? How many times have you entered? What type of visa did you use when you entered? Have you left the country? Do you have any criminal history? Do you have any deportation? So all of those things are things that we look at in our office when we're talking with people. We have a free discovery process. And so we're looking at all of those details to see what the potential problems might be and what any options might be as well. Constantine, you came in unlawfully as a child at 6 months. You got DACA when you're 21. Could you still get married? Yes, go get married, girl. If you have a U.S. citizen partner or loved one, whatever, go get married. Now's the time. If you were brought unlawfully, so you're going to need to travel on advanced parole. I would expect that advanced parole is going to go away, guys, in the new year, so very quickly. So I would apply now, and hopefully you can get that approved and be able to travel with the advanced parole. You can travel, you can come back in legally, and then you'll be able to adjust your status, get your green card. Man, tons of questions today. Good job, you guys. Hopefully, I haven't even eaten my lunch yet, so hopefully you guys are eating lunch, and that's why you're asking all these questions. It's Arai. You have a consular interview in December. Do you think we're safe? Yeah, it's good timing. I'm glad that it got scheduled for you quickly. You should be fine. Claudia, what about people who recently applied for political asylum? My in-laws recently applied for advanced parole or political asylum. I'm not sure what you mean by AP. Claudia, we have already seen a lot of changes to the asylum process, even under the Biden administration. The Biden administration has not been kind to asylum seekers. And I wish that they would have gotten more credits from Republicans for that, because they've really been working hard to address the border issues. And so as a result, many asylum seekers have been impacted by that. I would continue more of the same. I think that it's just going to get harder and harder to process an asylum, to win an asylum. If your adjustment status is pending, will the new administration affect this process? Yes, definitely. I would expect to see more requests for evidence for stupid things. I would expect to see interviews for, even marriages that have kids, like she was saying, like, what if you have kids? Like, I would expect for things to take longer and be more complicated and more frustrating. It's like, what do they call that? Like death by a million paper cuts, or even like 100 paper cuts. It's just the little things that compound to make it more and more harder, without it looking like they're being the racists that they are. Hi, Rawad. Thanks for saying hi. You were granted protection. She Girl 5 says she was granted protection on her cat. Should I worry? Depends on what country. So Convention Against Torture is a protection that very few people win. Actually, congratulations to you. I've won maybe 2 or 3 in my 14 years of practicing. So it's very rare. So congratulations. And it basically says that you should be deported, but because you might be tortured in that country, that the U.S. can't deport you to that country. If things improve in that country, the government could always try to reopen the case and deport you. So it just depends what country you're from, what your case was like. My World's asking about TPS. All of these temporary programs, guys. I mean, TPS has the word temporary in it. DACA, TPS, for all the paroles, I think they're all going to come under attack. So if there's a more permanent situation, for example, in some states, some circuits, you can do, if you have TPS and you have a child who's now 21, you can get an advanced parole, travel, and then be able to adjust your status through your child. So make sure you're talking with the immigration attorney. This stuff is complicated, super complicated, guys. I know that a lot of people think you can just go online now and fill it out and apply for it. Please don't do that. Please don't do that under Trump. The risks, the stakes are going to be way too high. I'm not saying that because I'm an immigration attorney, but I'm just saying, like, I've seen people really mess up their lives doing this. Your dad filed for you. You already got your green card, Kamara. If you've had your green card for 5 years, you should be applying for citizenship. You should be voting. If you don't vote, you have no voice. Immigrants need us right now more than ever. And so I am recommending anybody who's eligible for citizenship to naturalize. Please talk with an attorney. Make sure that you're eligible. You don't want to put yourself at risk if you're not eligible for some reason. Please go get your citizenship. If you've had your green card for 5 years through your dad, or if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you've had your green card for 3 years, you can apply then. All right. Thanks everybody for all your questions. Someone else is saying they can do their citizenship in 2026. Should you be worried about it? File as soon as you can. If you're not aware of this, you can actually file 90 days before the date you would be eligible. So if it's a 5-year card through like a parent or a child, then you have to wait the 5 years, but you can do it 90 days before. So if it's marriage, you can do it 90 days before the third year with your green card. How will DACA be impacted? Well, look at what happened with DACA under his first administration. He went straight for the Dreamers, which I get so fired up about this because the majority of Americans agree that Dreamers should have a pathway to citizenship. And instead of doing that, he went straight to deport them. So he's promising mass deportations, guys, and that's going to start with people who they know, right? These are low-hanging fruit. These are people that willingly gave their contact information, their address, their work history. They know where to find you. So if you have DACA, you should be concerned. You should be very concerned. What happened under the first administration? He tried to stop it for all of them. What he was able to accomplish was to stop new applications from being approved. So the only people that have DACA right now are people like the OGs, the originals who had it and have been renewing it. Anybody who forgot to renew it for more than 1 year, they consider that an initial filing and they are not able to approve those. So that's how I think DACA will be impacted. I think DACA advanced parole will go away. Everything's just going to get harder and more restricted. What about DACA recipients that came here legally? So if you entered legally, like if your parents actually got you a visa and you entered with that visa and now you have DACA, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you can apply to adjust your status and get your green card. Please talk with an attorney. Make sure that that is actually the way that you entered. Most kids were not brought with a visa. They were brought through the border in a car, so they weren't walked across the desert. like most adults are required to do, but many of them passed as citizens, like with somebody else's birth certificate, with another family member or something. Okay. What can be done with that? So yeah, you should talk with an attorney if you're married to a U.S. citizen, or some DACA. Some people with DACA actually have kids that are close to turning 21. That's how long this program has been going on. So if you don't have a spouse, you might be able to do it through a child. Okay. Someone in removal proceedings and married to a green card holder, are you safe after filing the I-130? If you're already in removal proceedings, which means that you have hearings with the judge is trying to decide, the government wants to deport you, but the judge is there to decide if you will be deported. There's nothing else they can do to you. Of course, they could detain you if they think that you're not going to appear for a hearing. So I suppose that's, something that you want to be concerned about, but it's not usually likely. The detention centers are already full. They are talking about building like mass, what do you call them? Like camping areas where they're going to detain people. But you're married to a green card holder, it's going to be a little complicated. Make sure you're working with an attorney. You probably already are if you have hearings, but you never want to do any of that stuff yourself. That is super complicated. Is there a specific time to apply based on how long you've been married? No, you can. In our office, actually, one of the nice fun things that we get to do besides now fighting Trump is that we marry people in our office. So we have an area where husband comes, he's licensed, and you can get married. And then we've already like prepped their application, and we're able to file it as soon after they get married. So there's no required time limit to wait after you get married to file your green card. And I'm guessing a lot of people are going to be getting married, surprise, around the holidays, right before Trump takes office. I'm also, I hate to be like just paranoid, but I would be concerned for anyone who is in a same-sex relationship, that could possibly be one thing that this family values party will come after. So if you're in a same-sex relationship and one of the partners does not have status, I would recommend you get married now before they invalidate that marriage, or you're not able to marry same-sex anymore. Okay, does an I-130 cover you? Jackie, many people are waiting like decades for a visa to be available through like a sibling applied for them. And there's only a certain number that can be approved each year. So they've been waiting decades. And I see a lot of people that are like, here's my I-130 receipt notice. I'm safe. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's actually never been the case. And definitely under the Trump administration, they're going to completely change the priorities. They're going to increase the number of ICE agents, and nobody is going to be safe, especially not someone with an I-130. Now, if you have an I-130 and you're also like, married to a U.S. citizen, you need to get on doing the next steps besides the I-130. How long does it take for a 601 to be approved and for an I-212? I think both of those are taking about 2 years right now. Okay. Rawad has a deportation order in TPS, and he's going to get married to a U.S. citizen. Congratulations. You're going to need to talk to an attorney about that. It's complicated. There are some ways to reopen that deportation order, but definitely get on that, because I think TPS is probably they won't renew those country designations. So definitely be moving. Anyone with TPS should be looking at other options. También hablo español. Todas estas preguntas son en inglés, pero si tienen preguntas en español, estoy aquí para contestar. Okay, here's another complicated one. All you guys better be talking with an attorney. If you're in removal, it was denied, because you applied for asylum, now you're in removal proceedings, your I-130 is approved, what to do now? Super complicated. We would be happy to help you. 541-653-8899. Asylum granted, congratulations. Asylums are one of my favorite cases. Just granted August 26, 2024. Can you file for the green card now? Yes, they changed that, I think last year. It used to be you had to wait for a year before you could apply, but now you just need to have the asylum for 1 year at the time of approval. So because it's taking about 8 to 12 months or more to approve those. So I think you'd be safe to apply now. I would encourage you to apply now. The worst thing that would happen is they would speed up their processing. Actually, talk with an attorney where you live, because it depends on where you live, the processing time. So that might impact your decision, because you definitely don't want to like waste all that time and money to have it denied. Jackie's explaining that she had the I-130. Her aunt applied for the dad back in the 2000s. Oh, so you might be, if it was before April 30th, 2000 or 2001, which if it's in the 2000s, then it was, you might be grandfathered under 245I, which would help you out if you entered without a visa. Give us a call. We'd love to help you with that one. DACA options for people besides marriage. There might be some employment-based options. I've heard of some people doing that. We don't do employment-based cases very much. So talk with somebody who specializes in business, employment, immigration cases. Will the 601A take longer to be processed? You've been waiting since 2021. We just got one. I can't remember the date in 2021, but it seems like they're processing 2021 now. But I would definitely expect anybody who's filed the 601As recently, it's going to take probably more than 5 years. There's been lawsuits against them. It still hasn't sped them up. And the Parole in Place program was supposed to resolve this, taking people basically out of that 601A process and allowing them to adjust here. But now, since yesterday, since the judge so kindly decided to invalidate this program, that will no longer be an option. So I would expect that there's going to be lots of people applying, and which means long wait times. Okay. Someone says, my friend, is it really you? Will be sponsoring her husband, but he still owns previous taxes. Will this affect? Not usually. They just need to show that they have sufficient income. But tax debts are an issue for naturalization. They're checking to see if you're a good person. And apparently if you don't pay your taxes, that makes you not a good person. CD Vine Treasures, thank you. Your comment. Thank you for what you do. You guys, if you know an immigration attorney, you love an immigration attorney, or know or love immigrants, we're all going to need your support. We need allies. We need people like lifting our arms, encouraging us. It is going to be a rough 4 years. It's already been a rough week, and he hasn't even taken office. First, we got the news, that Trump won. Then yesterday, the judge canceled the Parole in Place program. And Stephen Miller's talking about denaturalizing people in mass. So thank you for your comment. We are going to need your support. If you have 245I, will your husband benefit so your daughter can petition for you? Possibly. Give us a call. That's also complicated. 541-653-8899. All right, just a few more minutes, guys. Thank you for all these questions. 21 años aquí. Any chance to get a green card? Philip, so you've been here since 2003. Possibly. Give us a call. We are creative thinkers at Molina Immigration, and we tend to find things that other people don't. So 541-653-8899. Okay. Humanitarian parole. What about these people? These people should be in the process of asylum. They should be looking for something more long-term. Most of these programs are 2-year programs. It's a temporary process. Again, as I was saying before, anything temporary, I think, will be taken away. So, you know, if you look at it, the whole eating the cats, eating the dogs, the Haitians, right? They called Haitian people with temporary protected status, they called them illegal. So number one, they're not. They have legal status, but they consider anything temporary to not have rights to be here. And so, yeah, I think definitely the Biden humanitarian parole program is going to come under attack and no longer be an option. And so anyone with a temporary status needs to be looking for permanent options. Gian, it sounds like you need, Gian Zagara, it sounds like you need probably a business immigration attorney to answer the question about your EB3. You have 245I, but you also have affirmative asylum. Got a lot of things going on there, but that's great. Some people don't have any options at all. Thank you, those who are sharing this. I'm going to encourage people to continue sharing our videos. We have a YouTube channel as well. I'm committing to being on here Tuesday through Saturday until Trump's gone, because there's going to be daily changes. It's going to happen that much. Like, people don't, I feel like people think I'm exaggerating. I'm really not a paranoid person. I'm really not someone who exaggerates. I don't like to be negative Nancy, but it was really that bad the first 4 years, and it's only going to be worse. So we've already seen it this week, the judge deciding that because Trump's coming in, he can just get rid of the parole in place program. So I'm going to be on here at lunchtime, Tuesday through Saturday, Pacific time, and giving good information. Make sure you're sharing the information. It's going to get crazy. There's going to be a lot of misinformation, and it's going to be complicated. Make sure that you are taking action and that you are talking with attorneys to help you, immigration attorneys. And here's my pitch. We are hiring because we're busy and we've been growing, but now we're going to need even more help to help even more immigrants escape this fascist regime. I should probably figure out how to say that phrase. So if you are bilingual and if you love immigrants and you're looking for work, our work is remote, and we are hiring for all positions. We offer at the most 36-hour work week. Our attorneys start at 32 hours. We do that because this work is hard. This work is draining, and it's only going to get that much worse. And so many of my colleagues are already talking about, how are we going to survive this? Will we be able to survive this? And the only way we can survive this is by taking care of ourselves first, right? We have to put our own oxygen mask on first. So we believe in work-life balance. We believe that the work that we do is valuable and important. Thank you, Danny. And because of that, we make sure that the hours that are required of our team are reasonable. So it's 1 o'clock. I got to jump off, head to some other meetings, but thank you all for joining me. I will be back tomorrow, Saturday, 12 to 1. And please share this and follow us on social media so that you can get all of the information as soon as we get it. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day. I'm going to go.